I'd like to call this meeting of the Support Services Committee to order. I've entertained a motion by Evelyn and a second by Edna to approve the minutes. Any comments, additions, edits? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Let's see. I guess that Mike's at the table, so he might as well go.
Alright. Mine's real simple, just asking to transfer money from the reserve fund, money that was already set aside for purchases we anticipated. Our tough books for public health, the plotter for planning, and laptops in the sheriff's office. And just kind of put the reserve fund's working really well because we're actually going to replace the plotter 2 years ago because just the way budget cycles work, and it needed to be replaced. And it always made it difficult if you wait for it to break. So if I set it in the reserve fund, we actually got 2 more years out of it and didn't have to wait a whole year for the budget. So it's working really well. We gained another 2 years out of it.
Motion by Evelyn. Well, it looks like we're just gonna have the motion second and team.
Yes.
Second by Edna. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Anything else?
Other than that, I don't know if you have some questions, Ms. Seabright, have questions about Twitter and Facebook?
Oh, you remember?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I did look, I guess the county has a Twitter account that hasn't been updated in 3 years. For the record, I've been here only 2 in this spot, so. It turns out there was, the previous web developer had set it up, and when he left, so did the update. So that's what the account is and why it hasn't been updated.
But the concern, may I, Mr. Chairman?
You're gonna ask me now. Just do it.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. The concern came from a NISAC training when I took a training on Twitter and how to use Twitter, and they had us all look up our county's Twitter accounts, and ours came up, and it was very outdated, but it also said to our users, if you post anything, be prepared, we won't give you a reply. And so NISAC had advised me, like, you may want to talk to someone and have that taken down. That is not Twitter friendly, and it's not, community friendly. And that if we were going to have one, we should be responding to people the same way like we just heard from tourism and responding to those inquiries on Facebook. And I spoke to Chairman Garrity at Intercounty and asked if there was a way that we could work collectively to become engaged as a county in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatever other fun things there are out there that would be beneficial to sending positive information about our county. We often hear a lot of negative things, and those are what they are, but there are wonderful positive things we do as a community that we're not selling ourselves on. We're not marketing it for people coming here and wanting to be part of this community or perhaps a job. And a lot of users are on social media, and I just think we're missing a huge market. And I would love for there to be some direction working with Mike. I'm happy to help in any way that I can, but I think that we should start becoming engaged as a county in social media. And in fact, we've heard a lot of trainings at our NISAC conferences about this. I was wondering if there was a way that could happen, please. Thank you.
Well, I think our presence through tourism probably addresses some of what you said, but I don't know if there's a dedicated manpower issue, or, do you have somebody monitoring this, you assign it as part of their job, or how would you handle that?
I did ask Chairman Garrity if it was okay with the committee. I'd be happy to work with Mike to once a week put out a social media, what do you know about Warren County in Love, or something fun about what we're doing in county government, and then eventually working in a way that perhaps the next administrator could take over or delegate some of that. But I just think it looks poorly to have outdated information out there. At the very least, if we're not going to be part of it, we need to shut it down.
Well, personally, I don't think we should shut it down, but I don't know that. Are you looking for some sort of committee action, or just a general, sounds like a good idea, go forward with it? What's that?
Just a consensus, like what everybody thinks. I know everyone's jumping on board to be part of the posting committee.
I will reserve my comment.
Let's go ahead with it. What's the next step? I guess it's just understanding what is it we should be posting. What should we post on there? Or who's going to be doing the posting, and kind of questions.
Maybe we could work together to look at some other counties, and NISAC has some great advice on it.
Yeah.
We actually, as Board of Elections, have talked about Facebook, Twitter I know nothing about. Just I mean, it seems like there's so much young people out there, and that's where they get their information from, and we found the last election we went through, there's a lot of wrong information out there. So, we really talked about it, we have our, board registration information out, and, election day, time, that type of thing, polling places.
Yeah, there are a few departments that have their own Facebook account to maintain them, public health, WIC, tourism,
Yep.
so those.
So if the Board of Elections were set up, it doesn't appear as it will require a lot of maintenance. I mean,
Yeah, it's kinda like a question,
periodically,
is it a county-wide account or a department account? So Facebook right now seems to be department accounts, and it looks like there's a Twitter that's a county account, so should Twitter be a county, a department, or, right, at least when it's by department, it kinda distributes the load of, maintaining it, and what kind of information goes
Well,
out
it's also
there.
gonna be a source of more precise information, probably.
Well, and in that vein, would it be possible maybe if for the next support services meeting, I could research the information NISAC gave us and talk to Mike and just maybe come up with some recommendations?
You're gonna find anybody opposed to it.
Is there,
You want a formal resolution, or you just
Guess
want
I'll
us
do
all
it
to say?
anyway. No, I don't
Go
need a
ahead.
resolution, I just wanna make sure it's okay.
I think it's a great idea,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
and I appreciate you offering to do this.
and just a question, does the county need to set a policy on use of social media?
Well, funny you mention that, I checked with Jackie, and we do not have a social media policy, and I know it's on her list of things to do to come up with a draft to propose to us for a social media policy.
Because that was one of the things in that workshop.
It was, oh, that's right, we were at Twitter together.
Yeah, I believe there was one written for Facebook. I could go dig it up, like a year or two ago. When it was just starting to come out, so I'll go dig that one out.
Yeah, they did recommend that there was a social media policy.
does the social media policy indicate things that one should do or should not do? I see.
Then you sign it. But there were some very interesting comments from that training about what employees can and cannot say about you publicly, and it's crazy the amount of things they really can say, which is great.
Well, I think anytime you have a quasi-public association, you run into that, so, I mean, it sounds like you can probably find an already existing policy and tweak it a little, tweak it a little bit, to make it fit, so, yeah.
Well, we won't reinvent the wheel. I'll come up with some information to send over to Mike, and from that training, I'll pull it up and see if we can get a start on entering the world of social media.
Thank you.
Is there a presidential candidate that seems to use some Twitter at times?
Bernie?
I think that there are presidential candidates that have people on staff to respond to anything. Oh, look, a leaf fell off that tree. It seems like, but I don't think we have to go quite that far.
I think Ed Bartholomew looks like Donald Trump, and he could handle
You're gonna handle the dye job?
I was saying Ed could do it.
Well, you need to color his hair, don't you? Not to mention the skin. I think we're digressing, though.
I can tweet that if you like.
I told him earlier today.
Anything else, Mike?
Nope, that's all I got. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. Next month, we can talk about chocolate.
Hard to make people laugh, right?
I know.
I'm having a blast down here.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I think everyone's just...
Yeah,
Ours is easy, you know.
we're not laughing at all. So.
Thank you.
Is that when you're?
Yep, this is mine, sorry. Yep.
Everybody's good?
Yep, we're good. I got one. Or no. with Amy that
So I guess you wanna go somewhere?
Yeah, it's
And do something?
authorization to attend our ECA conference in August.
Second it.
The motion and second team has moved this along. Any discussion, comment, question?
Nope.
All in favor? Was nice to see you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You could have done this by Twitter.
There you go.
Are there elections coming up?
Yeah, right.
When's the next?
Federal primary, no,
Okay.
September,
September.
November. Thank you all.
Bye.
You're welcome.
What is your son?
I've got this.
Cute with the little hat on there.
Very cute.
Is he a good baseball player?
Huh?
Is he a good baseball player?
No.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Pam.
I can remember
He
when
likes to run around and play in the dirt when he's in the outfield.
I used to watch the T-ball
I
kids.
never
It was
know.
the funnest thing.
Yeah, he's pretty
Because
cool.
they just all go.
They cross in a policy very easily, you know.
But you look cute.
Thank you. Thank you. He's a good boy.
Yep.
Proceed.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Before you today, you have, we have two, personnel, matters to address. And one is a resolution requesting the reclassification of the senior account clerk, grade 7, to a principal account clerk, grade 10. I guess it should come as no surprise that the county clerk's office in DMV is always held to the highest level of accountability, in terms of its financial record keeping, our money handling, banking, and, tax and financial, finance distribution, as well as our response to any audits that may come down from, New York State or beyond, if necessary. Passport services comes to mind outside of New York State. We have recently also been the subject of, extensive review by the auditors that are in the comptroller's office, and I've had probably no less than 8 hours of meetings with them as we review our procedures, our workflow, operations. In the county clerk's office, I think they were pleased, I think they were pleased that they, actually had written procedures on how we handle, certain parts of our financing, or, well, all of our financing, that would involve in particular this, this position as well. The reclassification is, that we're proposing and we're bringing to you for your thoughts and approval, is a position that, we've done a detailed study, of, and response to that civil service questionnaire. It's gone through the personnel offices. I believe it's been before you as well, to look at. The personnel officer has, presented a memorandum in support of this, and I believe that was also, presented to you. That's kind of a brief introduction. I know you've had a chance, or hopefully you've had a chance over the last, few days, when our information was sent out for the agenda, to look at it. When we make this shift from a grade 7 to a grade 10, you're looking at, I would say, minimal to no impact, in the county clerk budget. And that is largely because we've had some changes in positions where somebody leaves the office at a higher, grade, not a higher grade, but a higher step within that particular grade. And, so it's kind of a moot point at this point, but we're looking overall, the increase of approximately $4,000, and that will be made up by, approximately $5,200 that is in there right now, from the changes that have occurred in budget amendments and personnel changes. So, I would say about this position, the individual reports directly, it's a grade 7 and is handling the finances of about $12 million, reports directly to me. She will communicate with the DMV supervisors, handling and all transactions that are completed on one day all have to be reconciled the next. There is no time off to say put it aside, you know, it's not something that you go back to. We must meet those demands of New York State DMV. Likewise, on the county clerk's office, we must complete those transactions and reconcile on a daily basis. When there is, I obviously have the final say on everything that comes through and signed, but this position is, I believe, represents some complex accounting and audit practices that are the responsibility of the county clerk's office. I also did, kind of come after I started this process, which was back in January, right after the first of the year, in some of my communication on mortgage packs, the documents that came in to me, which I would be ultimately signing and distributing monies on, were signed by the principal account clerk for the Saratoga County Clerk's Office. That position description is the very same civil service position description that we have in Warren County for principal, and the duties, of course, are the same, the responsibilities are the same. We are currently putting a person as a senior account clerk in that position to do that, what I see as a complex accounting responsibility. So I would ask, you know, entertain your questions about this particular reclassification, and any thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
Ms. Baldwin, the person's doing this job, it's just through your review, you see that the duties that they are carrying out fit under the principal account clerk.
They do, when I've examined that,
Okay.
they do. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's basically a promotion for this person? For
The
what,
the
in
person-
title and salary, for what they're doing?
Yes, they would, they will be still subject to the civil service, examination requirements. And those will be laid out upon approval of this. But, I believe she may have tested prior, in her history, with Warren County. But nonetheless, it would be, I believe it'll be a promotional examination. But it will be civil service, and she will have to meet those, the civil service testing requirements.
More questions? Can I get a motion? Edna? Second by Craig. Further discussion?
Just one other, would she need to be appointed individually until she passes that?
No, she is a permanent, civil service employee,
Okay.
but it's at that classification. So, I believe in the past, civil service will correct me on this, it'll be what they say, but in the past, even if somebody has a pending examination, I would have to put down permanent pending examination, but she is well tested through this particular person, well through the process in Warren County of 26 years.
This will be effective the 17th, it says here.
I use that date, meaning the, board meeting upon approval. But I believe now that the board meeting might be the 15th.
15th.
Could be, but it is upon approval, which is why that is added there, yeah.
Any further questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Very much, I appreciate that. The second, personnel matter is a notice to fill, recording clerk, part-time, grade 7, basis $30,959. We use 1,000 hours for this position. It is a part-time position in the county clerk's office, largely dealing with Supreme Court case files. That's the targeted area. It is the result, of going to part-time, of the, changes, that we made in restructuring the county clerk's office during the financial crisis of 2010, 11, 12. Some of the supervisors will certainly remember that time frame where we, consolidated group, positions and, ended up with a half-time. So, it is obviously a necessary position. We need to remain, on task to the court actions. The individual is an excellent employee right now. She is returning to full-time, teaching and, having been away for a little while for, family raising. But now it's time to go back, and she is an excellent teacher and is returning. We will go through the civil service list. For that whole process, we will be doing. The notice to fill has gone through the appropriate channels that are set up with, HR, personnel. I believe it came to the chairman as well, and to the budget officer, and now it rests in your hands.
Peter,
I would just make a motion to go forward on the request.
second by Jim.
Any questions, they'll stay at the house and work.
Yes, it is going to stay.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other business?
Move for adjournment.
Great, now. Yeah.
Is anyone gonna second that?
I'll second it.
That was this morning.
Ron did.
Ryan gave me a sad look when I said no.
With the
Not
longevity
you.
plan.
You've heard his feelings.
Oh, yeah, okay, I was.
Okay, I signed this
No,
one
that
here.
was this morning. Okay.
Okay.
Are we done?
There's that.
Was it, now, what do we?
Support services?
With support services, yeah, that's gonna.
I know, you're next, right?
I know.